entity resolution is a big word. I'm curious kind of what it means to you, Amanda.
Yeah, that's a fancy way of saying who is who. I think if you work in SMB and with local data, this is a very complicated question to answer. I think in our industry specifically, there is not a unique data point that can serve as a unique identifier for accounts in beauty and wellness that are generally brick and mortar. And so I think a lot of more traditional enterprise B2B SaaS have something like a LinkedIn, domain, phone, email that can differentiate account from account. But in our business, we don't necessarily have that luxury.
And it's even worse than it first sounds. Like I think Gloss Genius is a great example of this, where so many local businesses will use a third party as their website. So people use Gloss Genius, they'll use ToastTab, they'll use Facebook as their website, which just breaks the whole entity resolution piece.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Gloss Genius is in the business of creating booking websites for their clients. And so it's not necessarily realistic to expect someone who's looking for a website builder to provide a website to you in their demo form.
Exactly. And then this gets even more complicated with the question someone was asking around hierarchies, because in many verticals, you get into franchise holding groups. How do you map those across? And home services, there's the private equity roll-ups, which is like a really complex landscape to map as well. So not only do you have to have an entity resolution algorithm that works at the individual locations, then you have to roll it up into the right accounts, because if you don't, you run into all these issues when you're doing kind of a multi-channel go-to-market approach, where someone will be working an inbound lead, simultaneously working the outbound lead. We've worked with giant public companies where their sales reps are accidentally cold calling existing customers. This still happens at scale because it is a very hard problem to solve.
Yeah, and I'll jump in there. If you guys were close to sales, I think the ability to dedupe is extra important because it pertains to deal ownership. And so you need to pay out and commission your sellers. And when there's ownership issues, it becomes a very big mess to deal with. And that's why the upstream data integrity is so critical to scaling a sales motion.